Human Trafficking presentation by Matthew Grubb. Today we'll be going over some topics referring to human trafficking, what all that involves and entails. What is human trafficking? What are some different types of human trafficking? Who is affected by human trafficking? These are things to consider and that will be discussed during this presentation. Human trafficking is the act of using force, coercion, or fraud to obtain either a commercial sex act or a type of labor. Each year, many in the millions of men, women, and children are obtained and trafficked throughout the world, even in the United States. Any community can experience this with people ranging in all ages, race, gender, and/or nationality. The people that conduct this terrible act use various methods including manipulation, violence, and lying to provoke people into whichever act they are trying to obtain these people for, including promises of good paying jobs or the promise of a romantic relationship. Human trafficking is considered today to be a form of modern slavery. Human trafficking may not always be for sex, but for other services as well, such as solicited labor that the people are forced to do against their will. This can include for housekeeping, nanny services, and other types of domestic workers. In the United States and every other country, these people are being brought in and taken out as modern day slaves. Anyone can become a victim, and it can occur in any community, city, suburb, or even rural areas. People that get caught up in human trafficking are sometimes trying to get out of poverty, wanting to have a better life than they are currently able to have or to avoid discrimination. These people can be willing to take unthinkable risks to get out of their current situation with the idea and prospect of possibly having a better life, with vulnerable people doing dangerous, illegal, or precarious jobs. Poverty, lack of education, and decreased family and friend support may lead to a trafficking episode, but that doesn't mean people that are wealthy and educated cannot be susceptible as well to human trafficking. It is better to always be knowledgeable and aware of your surroundings whenever out and about, and not just think that it could only occur to children. There are many myths or misconceptions related to human trafficking, such as human trafficking does not occur in the United States, only in other countries. Human trafficking is only for sex related trafficking. All victims of human trafficking are of foreign descent and are poor. Human trafficking and human smuggling are the same, or human trafficking and victims will attempt to get help when out in public. Actually, it has been proven that human trafficking occurs in every country, even the United States, and exists nationwide. Victims can come from any and every socioeconomic group of any age, race, gender, or nationality. Sex trafficking exists, however, it is not the only type of human trafficking. Forced labor exists and is actually the most common type of human trafficking, having people do illegitimate labor such as massage parlors, restaurants, domestic services, and sweatshops. We should always strive to take care of our patients and, if possible, make sure that there is accountability to the people who are performing this awful crime. Always keeping fidelity in mind to keep your promise to these people when attempting to get help for them, and the veracity with nurses being truthful to these victims when they are told we will do everything we possibly can to keep them safe and get them care and the protection that they need. Autonomy applies in that every person should have a right to their own independence and should not be forced into any unwanted job or task, nor should they be forced into any sexual relations without their consent. Justice. All these victims deserve fairness and the opportunity to live their lives free and not be held against their will in a modern day form of slavery. As nurses, we should treat these victims if we were able to do fairly and justly and equally like all other patients. Beneficence is obvious, and we as nurses should always strive to do the right thing for our patients. And if we think that human trafficking is occurring, we should provide the care they need and do what we possibly can to make sure they get the assistance they need to be removed from that situation. Non-malfeasance is something we should strive to do as well with all of our patients and attempt to not harm them in any way, intentionally or unintentionally. Using the nursing code of ethics will help guide the care these individuals need making sure to help not only care but protect them. First, always try to assess the situation and safety of the patient, then call the police. There are hotlines and direct numbers to the FBI that can assist in these situations if ever presented to a nurse. There are laws such as the 2000 Trafficking Victims Protection Act, being the first law to address human trafficking. This is a fragile and delicate situation that is constantly evolving and multiple factors to consider, but always try to keep the safety of our patient forefront to help guide the care that will be provided. These victims will likely be afraid and not willing to discuss their situation and possibly may have a language barrier even. Use critical nursing skills and assessment tools to help identify possible issues uh, may be necessary. I believe the best course of action is always prevention primarily. I believe that prevention is the best course in this situation, and in today's time with so much of people's information being online, it is very important for people to know some safety tips. That would include never sharing photos of yourself that you wouldn't want to show your family or to a total stranger. Set your user profiles to a private setting and always know who you're talking to. Be mindful of how you treat these people or anyone online. Don't share personal information such as your phone number, full name, passwords, and don't meet in person with someone that you meet online. And always report suspected abuse or trafficking to the authorities, whether that be local, FBI, or different hotlines. Using these tips and strategies, I believe, can help to prevent human trafficking from occurring and decrease the occurrence of such events. My perspective about human trafficking has changed since this assignment and now have gained more knowledge to help protect my family, friends, and patients once I become a registered nurse. Education and laws to help prevent human trafficking would be the first step. So, myself, if I am working as a nurse, I would want to start a community health project where the community would be made more aware of this issue and potential danger, even if they think it could never happen where they live or to their economic class, or gender, or race. After letting people know about ways of reaching out to notify help, such as the FBI, hotlines, local authorities, whether they are a victim or not, or they think human trafficking is potentially occurring to someone else that they could potentially need help. And if people are more knowledgeable to see signs that this may be occurring, they could be better off to help those people. Hopefully, after this presentation, an incident of human trafficking will be avoided, or if one is occurring after this presentation, people will be better informed on steps to take if they believe something like human trafficking has occurred. And now we'll take some time and address some questions. What are two types of human trafficking? That would be sex and forced labor. Who are some people to contact if human trafficking is suspected? That would be 911, local authorities, FBI, and human trafficking hotlines. Who are some people susceptible to human trafficking? And that would be anyone from any socioeconomic economic class, race, gender, and all areas of the world may be susceptible to this human trafficking. What is the difference between human trafficking and human smuggling? Human smuggling involves the illegal act of crossing someone over a border illegally and may not be against their will, whereas human trafficking is having someone perform an act of sex or labor against their will and uh, with possible force, but not doesn't always involve them having to cross a border at all. This concludes my presentation on human trafficking. I hope it was enjoyable and something was gotten from this presentation that people can use throughout their daily life and hopefully in their nursing careers as they move forward. and hopefully someone can be helped after this presentation, whether preventing an event or getting help if human trafficking is occurring.